Welcome to a public hearing on proposed local law number blank of 2026, amendment to Webb Town Code, Chapter 387, Section 387-5 to add a new section 387-5-B to prohibit short-term residential rentals and accessory dwelling units. Will the clerk read the proposed resolution?
Resolution scheduling public hearing on local law number blank of 2026, amending the short-term residential rentals law of the town of Webb. Whereas by local law number 2 of 2022, the town board of the town of Webb enacted a short-term residential rentals law of the town of Webb establishing certain requirements for the operation of short-term residential rentals in the town. And whereas the town board finds that it is necessary to protect the character of the town by prohibiting short-term residential rentals and accessory dwelling units. And whereas proposed local law number blank of 2026, creating a new section 387-5-B of chapter 387 of the town code of the town of Webb has been prepared, which would accomplish this. And whereas under New York State town law, no local law may be passed until a public hearing has been held. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Webb Town Board shall meet and hold a public hearing at the Town Visitor Information Center, 3140 State Route 28, Old Forge, at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, March 10th, 2026, to consider proposed local law number blank of 2026, creating new section 387-5-B of chapter 387 of the town code of the town of Webb, and to hear all interested persons, and at that time may take any other actions authorized by law concerning the proposed local law. And be it further resolved that the town board authorizes and directs the Webb town clerk to publish and post a notice of public hearing concerning the proposed local law in the manner provided by law. This was duly adopted the 10th day of February 2026.
Okay. All comments shall be directed to the town board and be relevant to the topic and will become part of the record. When called upon, please state your name for the record. Please keep comments to 2 minutes. Oh, that's why you guys are all here. Here you go. Go ahead,
Bonnie Baker, what's the percentage we're at right now?
We're close. I don't know if I see Jay somewhere in there.
Yeah, I'm back here.
Yeah.
The cap is 70 rentals, and we are at 65 right now.
Okay.
That's in reference to the residential village.
Correct.
Thank you.
Steve Hoffel. Now this is, if I understand this is correctly, this is for, say, a property that has already a house on it, and then they put up an accessory building that they're going to use it as a short-term rental. Does it also go vice versa? Because you could have somebody that has a house, they put up an accessory building, and then they rent their main house out. While guests are in there, they go hide out in the shed. So does this go both ways?
The wording, we looked into that with the wording. I mean, it's an issued permit, right? So the primary resident, there's some language in there in the zoning update. I don't know if Jay, if you have anything on that.
I mean, the easiest way to any ADU accessory dwelling unit has to go before the planning board, and the planning board can state when they give that conditional use permit that it cannot be rented.
The
primary.
The primary. Okay.
Anybody else?
Jim White. If you have one of these units already, is this law, when you pass the law, does this make that unit that I've been using for years illegal? Is it going to be retroactive, or is this from today going forward?
I don't believe we have any accessory dwelling units as short-term rentals.
You don't.
Yeah.
There are a few properties that have multiple residents on them.
Yeah. But they would be, they would.
Yeah, they wouldn't fall under this.
They wouldn't be prohibited. No. Mark Mayer was first.
Mayor, is this like the short-term rental permit only for the RS zone, for the residential zone in the village, or is it for the entire
No, this is townwide.
townwide? Okay.
Ron?
I live at 134 Garmin Avenue in Old Forge. It's the red brick house on the south side of Garmin between Adams and Gilbert Street. It is a total of 4 lots originally, as it was subdivided in the early 1900s, late 1800s. The main house is a short-term rental that sleeps 10 people. The last couple of months, there have been 8 to 10 people every weekend, all winter long, and $500-600 a day to stay there. The original master bedroom on the second floor is my bedroom in my 1-bedroom apartment. Behind that bedroom is the old sun porch, screen porch that the original owner used to entertain their guests in the summertime. Under that is a carport. And that carport is now 2/3 of the width it used to be, because my staircase is about this wide, like 2 foot 6 inches wide, not 3 feet, with a headroom of less than 6 feet, maybe 5 foot 6, to get up and down the stairs with a stretcher, or who knows, if I drop dead, what would happen? They push me out the window. This building is not safe. It's been cited by the town of Webb Codes Office about 8 times. The last one went out about a month ago, and he's got about 2 weeks now to answer and get this thing inspected, or the whole building's gonna be shut down by the Codes Office. I'm hoping it happens. The building next to it is the original stable. It has 2 apartments, downstairs 2 bedrooms, upstairs 2 bedrooms. Louis Erzbeck lived upstairs for about 15 years in that barn, right across the street from her daughter and son-in-law, the Down family. That building is not safe. The barn is downstairs is shut down because it has black mold in it right now. The tenants had to leave, and nobody can move back in until the codes office does a full inspection for black mold like the health center had last year. This building should be shut down immediately. They were working there today, putting a drop ceiling in the downstairs bedroom to hide the water damage that happened over the winter on the first floor section of the ground floor of the place. It's not safe to live in the house. It needs to be shut down. I don't know where I'll go to live, but I'm looking forward to the town bringing this property, one of the main short-term rental properties in the village of the town, back into code, back conforming, to get the job done properly. Let's not waste any more time, get the job done. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
Anyone else? Okay, having heard all comments from those wishing to speak on this topic, would someone like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the March 10th, 2025 Town of Webb regular meeting. Thanks everyone for coming. I hope everyone signed the attendance sheet if there's any more room left on it. And please turn off any cell phones. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our next regular meeting will be on April 14th at 7 p.m. The April audit of the claims meeting will be held on first Monday, April 6th at 5:30 p.m. Executive session may occur this evening if deemed necessary. Correspondence. Donald.
Yep, we have, the board received a letter of resignation from David Tracy, the data collector, effective March 6, 2026. We got a letter from John Khalil regarding an alternate route for snowmobilers on the pedestrian sidewalk on the bridge on Route 28. He'd like to close this route and form a citizens committee to find another route and other safety issues. I have a letter if anybody wanted to see it.
And then we've got the presentation from Rural Healthcare Partners with Old Forge Volunteer Ambulance Corps. Jason Falk and Lisa Bolo are here. You guys want to maybe find a spot up here, I guess?
Yes, definitely.
Danielle too.
So my name is Jason Falk. I'm the Director of Operations for Home Care Services of the Mohawk Valley Health System.
Danielle Hoffel, Chief of Local General.
Lisa Volo, Senior Director of Behavioral Health for Mohawk Valley Health System.
And we're here to present just kind of a presentation and an update on our Rural Healthcare Partners program that we have out in the community now. So this is a pilot program. It is from a grant from the Collaborative Model of Community Medicine and Paramedicine grant. It is funded by the Mother Cabrini Foundation, and it is granted to the New York State Home Care Association and Iroquois Healthcare Association, and with support from IPRO, which is a quality organization that is doing the data collection on this program. So part of this grant, there are 7 pilot programs in this grant. We are one of them, Rural Healthcare Partners. We're going to be saying that name quite a bit because hopefully you're going to be hearing it in the community here. So Rural Healthcare Partners and the 7 other pilot programs, they are small. They receive the grant in small rural communities, and this funding is to support these communities to prevent rehospitalization, avoidable rehospitalization, and avoidable emergency department visits. So the group of all of the 7 pilot programs have shown a decrease in hospitalization and have shown a decrease in emergency room visits. Our model has EMTs, home care, and primary care office working together to support the rural community to prevent patients from going back into the hospital. So the Old Forge Volunteer Ambulance Corps has partnered with the Mohawk Valley Health System and the visiting nurses of Utica and Nada County to bring these services to the service area of the Old Forge Volunteer Ambulance Corps. So the goal of the program is to deliver high quality care to patients in their own home environment and to support the healthcare needs of the community by improving coordination and communication between the patient and the providers. So currently we have 2 rural healthcare partner specialists from the Old Forge Volunteer Ambulance Corps, and they go into the patients' homes. They can do an assessment, vital signs, assist with education, education on chronic disease management, their diseases, educate on home safety and fall prevention. They can assist with medication organization and non-complex wound care. So, and also patients that have gone home from the hospital to ensure that they have the services needed to recuperate appropriately. So far in this program, we have 10 patients that we've had on service. We made a total of 97 visits in the community with those 10 patients. And we've seen, really great help in, to those patients to avoid hospitalization. So, the rural healthcare partner specialists, they document in the VNA of Utica their EMR. They have access to the teaching material. They have access to the educator for the visiting nurses and the clinical managers. The patients have a phone number to call 24 hours for support. They always have access to one of the clinical managers to use as a resource. So, a referral to this program, we need a referral from a physician, a primary care provider, and that referral comes into the VNA. The VNA processes all the referrals for this program, and then we're able to then go out and see those patients in the community. So, and what we need on a referral from the provider is a current list of medications, current list of medical history, diagnosis, and the main reason why they need to be seen. So We have made reached out to the medical office here, the town of Webb Medical Office. We met with MVHS medical office for Boonville and also Barnaville. Talked about the program. So the patients coming into those medical offices, the providers there know that, if they need assistance, that they can refer to this program. That's kind of a short overview. I don't know if there's anything, Danielle is one of our specialists, is making the home visits. And the patients absolutely, love the support from the community and from the rural healthcare partner specialists. So.
I just think I'll just say this one thing. Most important to know is that you have a resource if you feel that a community member needs extra support in their home. You don't have to go through a long process to get referred into this program. They can quickly get into the home and see your loved one. I think that's the biggest change, is that access immediately in the home. Just call the doctor, call Dr. Sokash, Dr. Perlansky, just call them and talk about the rural healthcare partners, and then we could dispatch the EMTs to your home. We have other services that we're hoping to bring to you, such as home care nursing, which is why Jason is here. We have to go through some steps to get to that point, but once we get the nursing component in, we will have the EMT and the nursing component working hand in hand to keep you and your loved ones at home. That's the goal. And get immediate access to care and keep you home.
So we have brochures up here, and we'll get more up here. So we handed some out, but they'll be out in the community. So, again, does anybody have any questions regarding this program? Yes.
Is it just, if somebody's been hospitalized and it's post-hospital care, so they don't, how about if somebody needs ongoing care? Is that within your domain?
Yes, it really depends on what that care is, because it could, be care that might be better suited for a home care agency. And I know there isn't, home care agencies for Herkimer County that come up in this area. But that's what Lisa was saying, is that, the visiting nurses of Utica and Nada County, we put in an application to expand into Herkimer County. So with this program also, we know that there's a need in the community, and that's what we hope, that we're able to expand in the community and work together. So.
Yeah, and it really does, one of the asks that we'll ask of the community is that we're asking the state for the permission to be able to serve your community. And we're going to get some information out on how you can help us to get that approval to do that here. We have members of the MVHS team that's going to send out letters to the town and advise you on how you can help us get that permission. But once we have that permission to give home nursing care in the home, then we can come out and we can do both nursing and the home checks and med organization and fall prevention and stuff like that. But the answer to your question is no, you do not need to be coming out of the hospital to get this service. Okay. You can talk to your primary care provider if you think it's a chronic need. Your primary care provider can tell you whether or not he or she can refer.
Is this paid through just the grant? Or?
Just the
Yes.
grant. Correct. There's no charge to the community at this time.
And it's at no cost to the patients either.
Correct.
So through the grant. Yes.
I'm willing to brag. Last fall, I spent 3 months being tested to see whether I was eligible for a colonoscopy at the age of 85. January 23rd, I received that colonoscopy at Wynn Hospital, run by digestive disease medication. It's been 6 weeks. I have not seen the results. The results from digestive disease are vacant. Valley Health System, vacant. Wynn Hospital, vacant. No response. I believe that I'm one of these people that says that the stages of colorectal cancer are now #1 in the world for people under 50. I'm 85, and I've gotten no help from the town of Webb, from the health system here, from Wynn Hospital, from digestive disease, from anybody else. What can you guys do to help me?
Well, I feel that do you have a primary care provider that you can?
Yeah, right here.
Okay.
She won't talk to me.
Who, what?
She won't talk to me.
Okay.
She's afraid to talk to me because she doesn't know what the story is.
Okay.
They won't tell her. She's a nurse practitioner. She's not a medical doctor. Julie knows.
Ron, we'll take that into consideration.
Okay.
Yeah.
These guys up here presenting.
Be informed of the results.
Ron,
He's the only MD that I'll talk to in the health center.
Ron, you can move this to the assembly if you.
What's that?
I will look into it.
I've heard that for 4 or
But I
5
wasn't
weeks
aware
now,
of
Julie.
any of this, I'll find out for you.
I know you're retired, but
It's all right, I will find out for you.
Still working a lot.
Someone retired to not stop a lot.
jail.
Ron, please. Thank you, Kyle.
Steve Hoffel, how does this program vary from HASCA that we have in town already?
I believe HASCA is a licensed program, and, you know, they probably provide personal care. This is specifically the Old Ford Volunteer Ambulance Corps, and they are rural healthcare partner specialists, and they're making home visits, checking on vital signs, and again, assisting what that individual may need in the in their home environment to keep them home and safe. So it is a different program, a licensed program, but they probably also have personal care, which this isn't personal care. This is kind of, you know, making a visit, making sure they're okay, communicating to their provider how they're doing and their status.
It's also important to know that we've been working on trying to get something for the community for about 5 or 6 years with Living ABK. There's a whole healthcare committee. There's people, James Slacks, that's on our healthcare
Yes.
committee from HASCA. So this is not to replace or get rid of any of the services that we currently have. This is in place to enhance and to give us further healthcare that we don't already have. And we all do work closely together, and all those things were taken into consideration.
And then, again, this is at no cost to the patient too.
So it's more of a health side issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rather than, like you said, their HASCA is more personal care.
Yes.
It can be, yes. So.
I'm Henry Bergner. I was wondering more about the nature of the grant. Is it like a year grant, 5-year grant? I mean,
No, that's a very good question. So the grant, we have funding for 2025 and 2026. We haven't even used the funding for 2025. So we're just now getting this program up and running. We just got the marketing material now, so we can use that 2025 funding in 2026. So we should be funded with this program into 2027. So
Are there any age restrictions on this program?
no.
One of the other things that we found is, you know, going into these people's homes, just checking on them. We've caught little things. We're looking at their medications. We're noticing that people don't necessarily get out, oh, wait, you need a refill on this prescription. We're talking, Kenny's is used to talking to us. Every time we go in the home and we see a patient, we call their doctor's office and give a report of what we found. We've caught minor things with people that got taken care of right away instead of patients waiting because they didn't want to bother anybody or they didn't want to be a burden. And so we've caught these things, and then the doctors were able to either adjust medication, add a medication. Maybe we say, hey, we think you need to see them, and then we set up their appointments. They see our charts. I've had somebody who used to call the ambulance on a regular basis say to me on my second visit, wow, I feel so much better. And I know that it was probably a mental health thing. He just felt more comfortable. And so the other thing is that, you know, some of these people are homebound and they don't see folks. And yes, their families are doing a great job and they're doing everything they can, but it's a great thing for their mental health for just to see someone else. And even if it only takes me 20 minutes, not usually, but I'm just using an example, and I've scheduled an hour, I stay there a whole hour and just say, how was your week last week? Tell me about the kids. What are the grandkids doing? You know, and it really affects their mental health. And so to us, we feel that that's just as important, especially in the winter months when they're not getting out.
And there's a number of stories like that, how we help patients. You know, an individual that gashed his leg open, we were able to take a picture of it, send it securely to the office, and email that to the provider so they can see what that patient's leg looks like without actually seeing them. And then they're like, you know, advising us on what treatment to provide to that person. So there's a lot of communication that happens with the providers too. So, yeah.
Allison Nathan, two-part question. The grant, is there an expectation of utilization that will, kind of ensure that the grant will continue? And as you're ramping up, is that being taken into account during that time? That's the first question. Second is, as this community, I don't think people realize how important this is until they need it. A lot of times it's a crisis and then people say, I need it now. But everyone should be thinking about how it could affect them or a family member or a neighbor. And how can we work together to spread the word, educate the community, so that we're supporting the effort that you are investing in this, which is so important.
Absolutely. So in regards to the grant, we have a budget that we review with the Home Care Association, and we give statistics on where we are with visits. And so, yes, there is no funding after 2027 right now, but I mean, we're again, using the budget and utilizing services appropriately. So we're hopefully able to expand into 2027. So after that, we're hoping that we can look at other funding at that point in time. So we have time, you know, right now to start working on that.
Yeah, so you'll be able to demonstrate the usage and.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah.
And Jason, I'll just add to, because it's a part of a statewide pilot and there are big associations involved, they're also working on legislation around payers and sustainability of this when the funding runs out. So they're advocating at a state level to get the payers to pay for this service.
Yeah, and that's why they have a lot of data collection, so they can provide that to the payers, and hopefully they see the benefit of patients not going to the emergency room and what that cost savings is, so they may pay for a program like this. So, yes.
Well, maybe it's not a question, but hopefully the flip side of the outcome is for some relief for our volunteers and for the ambulance corps, that it will cut down the number of trips, long trips that take the ambulances out of service. We know how we struggle with volunteers. So that's an important part of it, right?
All true.
Yeah, and the data is showing, early data coming out of this 7 partnerships, is that it's over 60% reduction in those unnecessary trips already. So the data is looking extremely promising across the state. So.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Here, I'll leave up here for you guys. So.
We're gonna switch.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, I will, for sure.
Okay, proposed local law blank of 2026, amending chapter 387-5 of the town code of Webb, the short-term residential rental law of the town of Webb, to add a new section 387-5-B. The board held a public hearing earlier this evening. What is the pleasure of the board? Adopt or not adopt local law amending chapter 387-5 of the town code of Webb, the short-term residential law of the town of Webb, to add a new section 387-5 Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt that
Mike?
resolution.
I'll second it.
Judy, sounds like. Roll call vote.
Councilwoman Lonergan,
Aye.
Councilman Hannah,
Aye.
Councilman Lindsay,
Aye.
Councilman Ross,
Aye.
Supervisor Greco.
Aye. Thank you, yeah.
Do that already?
I think you did. President,
Yeah,
yeah. Next is the Board of Assessment Review. A motion to appoint the following as temporary Board of Assessment Review members. Margaret Hopsiker, Marcia McDonald, Mary Brophy Moore, and Steve Evans. I'd like to make a motion.
I'll make the motion on it.
Ben, second?
I'll second.
Kyle. Roll call vote?
Councilwoman Lonergan,
Board discussion.
Shouldn't we be asking for discussion?
This is regards to the reval that we're working on over there.
This is to help out with grievance day, correct?
Yeah.
For that, everyone to state if they object or anything to their assessment.
When people show up.
Which it should be busy. Usually
First
is.
time since 2012, right?
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be busy after
I think it's
speaking
gonna
with
be
Tina
busy.
today.
Yeah, your office has been doing a great job of it.
Tina's been amazing.
And I encourage everybody, if they have any questions, to always come and ask me.
Yeah, thanks, Tina.
Don't go away.
Yeah.
Stop me on the street.
Thanks, Tina.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you for your support. That means a lot.
Sorry about the board discussion. Roll call vote.
Councilwoman Lonergan,
Aye.
Councilman Hannah,
Aye.
Councilman Lindsay,
Aye.
Councilman Ross,
Aye.
Supervisor Greco.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Liquor license 30-day waiver, a motion to waive the 30-day waiting period for Eats and Teaks Incorporated liquor license. Anyone like to make the motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mike, second.
I'll second.
Kyle, board discussion.
Something that we typically do, just
Yeah.
get the business rolling quicker, I guess.
Yep. Okay, roll call vote.
Councilwoman Lonergan,
Aye.
Councilman Hannah,
Aye.
Councilman Lindsay,
Aye.
Councilman Ross,
Aye.
Supervisor Greco.
Aye.
5 ayes.
We have an application from the Old Forge Fire Department for a bingo license. Need a motion to issue a bingo license to the Old Forge Fire Department.
I'll make a motion.
Judy?
I'll second.
Kyle? It's all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have an application from the Old Forge Fire Department for a Games of Chance license. Need a motion to issue a Games of Chance license to the Old Forge Fire Department.
I'll make the motion on that.
Ben. Second?
I'll second it.
Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have an application from the Old Forge Fire Department for a raffle license. Need a motion to issue a raffle license to the Old Forge Fire Department.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Kyle, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, the resolution accepting a water line easement from Old Forge Woodlands LLC. Whereas the town historically had used a buried line for the transmission of water across property owned by Old Forge Woodlands LLC and its predecessors in title located on North Street and identified as tax map ID 041.2-1-7. And whereas the town has abandoned use of the prior location, has now installed a line in a nearby location in the same parcel of land. And whereas the owner of the parcel, Old Forge Woodlands LLC, has offered the town a new easement that will allow the town the use of the property where the new line is located. And whereas the town board wishes to accept the easement, and whereas the town board of the town of Webb finds that abandoning the prior easement and accepting an easement in the new location will protect the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of and visitors to the town. Now, therefore, be it resolved that upon the adoption of this resolution, the town of Webb abandons its prior easement and accepts the easement, allowing placement, maintenance, and operation of the water line across lands of Old Forge Woodlands LLC on tax map IS parcel 041.2-1-7. And the town supervisor is authorized to execute and deliver any documents required to implement the intent of this resolution in a form acceptable to town council. Anyone like to make a motion on it?
I'll make the motion.
Ben, second.
I'll second it.
Mike, board discussion.
No,
I believe that's basically our main water line that goes, if you're going down North Street and you see the trailer park there, it goes basically adjacent to the trailer park, which, and that other property which is the Woodlands, that goes all the way over to
Riverside
Riverside
Drive.
Drive. Needs to know that.
Okay,
All right.
roll call vote?
Councilwoman Lonergan? Aye. Councilman Hannah?
Aye.
Councilman Lindsay?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Greco?
Aye.
5 ayes.
Okay, resolution authorizing procurement and addition of K-9 member to the town of Webb Police Department. Whereas the chief of police has advised the town board of the benefits and costs of adding a K-9 member to the town of Webb Police Department. And whereas the town board has weighed the benefits and costs and finds that addition of a K-9 member of the police department will be a cost-effective gain for the department and benefit the town and its residents and visitors. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board authorizes the chief of police to procure, train, and equip a suitable K-9 member for service in the police department and to solicit proposals for any additional equipment or training not currently provided for in the town budget, and to take all other steps to further the intent of this resolution. Would anyone like to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion.
Judy, second?
I'll second it.
Ben? Or discussion?
Yeah, I do have a couple questions on that. Where do I want to start? The chief gave us all the information on how this is gonna go down, and for the most part, everything is paid for. But there was a question, chief, that the bank was going to, I would say, hold off for the payment.
Yeah, so the way we have it
A vehicle.
structured, once we take delivery of the vehicle, a year from that date, the first installment will be due to the bank.
So that we can properly, budget for.
And we're still waiting on the grant from Dishes, and Kelly, found us some additional funding today. So,
Kelly?
you guys take credit for it.
Want to speak to it?
I found over $30,000.
Wow.
Jace is here too.
Yep.
You know, there's no hit to the budget at the moment.
Right now, nothing.
Yep. And everything has been paid for in the dog's behalf. There's a lot of folks making this happen, grants that are out there, local to veterinarian clinic in Otter Lake, right, countryside overall.
Take care of routine pet care.
And yeah, we think this is important to search and rescue nitrates dog, and you know, with the assembly we have here and the people that are here, and that when it was brought to the table, it seemed like an easy decision if we could appropriately budget for it. And then my favorite part of it is the vehicles. We don't think we'll need a vehicle next year. We'll try to get it to 2028 with any vehicles, because this vehicle would count towards it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
So
you
that
very
was
much
good
for
with the
doing
bank
all this
still, I
hard
guess,
work.
is my
Yes,
question. It is,
yes,
okay.
still good, sorry.
So then that would be a roll call vote.
Councilwoman Lonergan?
Aye.
Councilman Hannah?
Aye.
Councilman Lindsay?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Greco?
Aye.
5 ayes.
Okay, next we have a resolution authorizing publication of requests for proposals to design and build mountain bike trails Phase 4 at Macaulay Mountain. Whereas the town wishes to increase the use of Macaulay Mountain and has been made aware of grant funds available to help defray the cost of designing and constructing mountain bike trails on town-owned land at Macaulay Mountain that would benefit the town by increasing the use of the mountain. And whereas the town board wishes to ensure that any expenditure of taxpayer funds be made in the most efficient, beneficial way possible and subject to a competitive pricing process. And whereas the town board seeks proposals to design and build mountain bike trails at Macaulay Mountain, now therefore be it resolved that upon the adoption of this resolution, the town clerk is authorized to publish an appropriate request for proposals and for solicitation for sealed bids in a form approved by the town's grant consultant for the design and construction of mountain bike trails Phase 4 at Macaulay Mountain by publishing in the Adirondack Express and any other paper or online publication reasonably calculated to prompt proposals for the project, and the town supervisor and town clerk are authorized to take any other steps necessary to carry out the intent of this resolution. I'd like to make a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Ben, second.
I'll second.
Dial. Board discussion, this is, what we think is the last leg of, our mountain bike trails up there at McCauley. It's been going on for a few years now, back to 2022, and even before that, I know Apt was working on some trails. I see Kurt here was a major player in that, and, being a part of the board the last few years, you can totally see the benefit of these trails that are going on up there. It's a wonderful service. I think we stand behind it fully, and this is just to actually release the last of our funds. So we've got a current grant through New York State Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, and we just hope to finalize the work here, and we're just going out to bid for services. Anybody else have anything on that?
No, I think that's it. That's good.
Yeah. Roll call vote.
Councilwoman Lonigan?
Aye.
Councilman Hannah?
Aye.
Councilman Lindsay?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Greco?
All right.
5 ayes.
Next is a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign an engagement letter to use Bond, Shenick, and King for legal counsel pertaining to labor and general municipal matters. Anyone like to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion for that.
Mike? I'll second it. Board discussion, this is just for labor and union representation, with a new firm that we, kind of got, we reached out to, we interviewed, spoke to. We hope to, as a supervisor, police commissioner, hope to sit down with, the labor reps themselves and work towards contract negotiations and try and get something in place with, hope maybe without without lawyers coming in. We've done that in the past. There's been previous deals, but the recent, time here, I just felt it was necessary for us to maybe explore their options. It still leaves the door open for counsel across the board. It's just an engagement letter. Anytime we use their services, we'd be charged, and that's it. Is everything on that?
I do, yeah. I was hoping that we as a board could possibly go into an executive session about this matter, because there is another firm that we did use prior. I don't know much about this firm. I know you said you had met with them, and I understand
Mike was present too.
I understand that this is just the first I'm hearing about it, so if we're gonna vote on this, I do not feel comfortable voting on this, having not talked to everyone collectively to discuss this, whether we go with them, another group, or another group. So that's my view on it.
We explored some other options, and one of the big parts for me was the previous council we had. We had some. We went a year without being under contract with one of the unions. We lost some employees, and it was a really difficult time. It was cost some money to our taxpayers here in lawyer services, and I just felt this was a recommendation of mine, and we certainly don't have to.
I totally understand. I'm just.
Yeah,
Like I said, this is
to go into executive session on this because of the underlying costs, so that we can talk about the two firms, because we did bring this up at Monday's meeting. So I feel that that's something that we should do as well.
Okay.
This is first time,
Well, the engagement letter's been signed.
How could the engagement letter be signed? We haven't voted on it. Sent. Okay.
And shared, yeah. But everything.
I understand it's been shared, but playing phone tag with everyone on this board, it's impossible to get everyone's clear understanding. Emails are one thing, phone calls between one and one and one and one. Things get askew. I would rather be able to talk in person with the five of us together to hammer it out. I'm not saying that we're not potentially going to go with them. I'm not saying that we're potentially going to go with someone else or someone else or someone else. But I feel we have to make the right and smart decision and explore our options. For that way, going forward with any contract negotiation, we are protecting the taxpayers first and foremost. I just don't want to go blindly into signing an engagement letter with someone that I don't know. And I don't know. I
understand.
I knew, we dealt with the last guy. we built a rapport with him, but I'm not saying that that's the way to go. I'm just saying that we need to explore our options and talk as a group in the same room. Because what you and I talk about on the phone is gonna be completely different than what Tom and I talk about. Ben and Judy, same.
And we went back and looked, we had a resolution back in 2023 for services for labor need representation. Actually, Barb Green, she made a motion, I seconded it. So it was the same way that I was going about this. And I never saw a letter then, and it's besides the point. I understand where you're coming from at this point. I just want to say for the purposes of discussion in a public setting.
Yeah, I'm just saying from my personal standpoint, I would feel more comfortable talking as a group in executive session to weigh our options across the board.
Okay.
We can do that tonight.
Sure, so we can table that and.
Yep.
So I have to rescind
You
my,
gotta rescind.
I have to rescind my motion to do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Got it, Don.
There's one resolution here. So we'll table that. And then, the next is the resolution authorizing Miller, Mannix, Shockner, and Hafner to review and advise the town board on updating the proposed procurement policy. This was just kind of what we talked about with that procurement policy, that we were working on. If I can get a motion.
I'll make a motion, please.
Judy, second.
I'll second.
Board discussion?
And this is to weigh our options between,
To have legal counsel look at it and go over it.
thank you.
Right.
Yeah, so we had a procurement policy prepared, suggesting kind of just to update ours as we've had some issues. Ours is from 1993 with some grant funding out there. Northern Borders, it's an active grant we currently have for $950K. It's a match grant that's relative to our sewer, along with the grant that we got previously for the mountain bike and all grants moving forward. The updating our procurement policy is really important, or else we may not qualify or even receive funds that we're currently awarded. So we had a document prepared for us to update it, and we can send this over to. Actually, they can take a look at it. Now it's kind of. Do we want them to review it?
We want them
and tell
to-
us how to.
Yeah.
Do it, or we don't want them to create a whole new document. Right?
Well, the way that I look at this document, I think I've said it at Monday's meeting before, it's more like a legal audit. I would like to see this as an addendum or a manual used for a procurement policy, and have a procurement policy that's usable on the fly for our town to use. And I think I asked 2 weeks ago for our attorneys to look at it, so I'm glad that this is finally going through.
I asked last week too.
Yeah.
So glad it's.
Yep.
So that part, the seven, it's a lot. It's a big document, and it
2 pages.
it's like double space, but it covers everything, and then you can go in the table of contents.
Double
It's
space.
35 minutes.
Most procurement policies are 4 pages.
Yeah, exactly.
And at the Monday
I mean,
meeting,
it's a great, she did an amazing job. I'm not saying anything bad about that, but it's more like a manual to use when you're stuck to go back and go, okay, we should maybe look at this. It's a lot for someone to use, yeah.
But again, the appendix is table of contents. You go to the part that references what you need. You make sure you let your department heads know what's going on with it. So that part of it, I thought we could get to that, and our, town clerk, supervisor, department heads, us as town board would just relay that and kind of educate the part that pertains to each department. So I will see if they can make a smaller version. I guess we can just have them.
we mentioned that, or I know that I did that night that we had and she was here talking to us. And I thought she said, yeah, we can definitely, make it 2 sections, whatever we're trying to come up with.
It'll still be part of the document as a whole. I think we're just kind of missing that part of it. We'll see what the lawyers can put together. And this is just to authorize the cost of the legal fees for them to go through it. Okay.
Got it.
Roll call vote on that.
Councilwoman Lonergan? Aye. Councilman Hannah?
Aye.
Councilman Lindsay?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Greco?
All right. Next, we got a motion to appoint the following members on our behalf to the Webb Inlet Snowmobile Trail System Committee. I'd like from Webb's behalf, with it being an intermunicipal agreement, it's kind of a funky one here, but there's been a talk before of forming a committee. Mike Ross, Ben Hanna, Jeff Abriel, and Alexis Bennett on our behalf, with members of Inlet as recommended by their town board. Anyone like to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion.
Ben? Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
Second?
I'll second it.
Judy.
Thank you.
Board discussion?
What is this intent of the committee for?
The intent of this is to, number one, safety. You know, have people from both Webb and Inlet get together, communicate. The members that are listed here, 2 board members, Mike and Ben, our trailhead Jeff, Jeff Abriel's in the room with us now, Alexis Bennett, our publicity clerk. And then hopefully we can get the same from Inlet. Yeah. And then the intent would be, you know, safety, grooming, you know, what we can do to better, you know, improve our product and stay on top of, you know, what we're putting out there. Trailer registration's a hot topic, permit structure's a hot topic, you know, departmental needs, employee structure across the board. I mean, I think everybody's doing an awesome job. This is not we've had 2 fantastic winners in a row here. It's just, I guess, opening a line of communication again between the 2 towns. Last time, you know, we've done this in the past and it's helped, so.
I would also like to see if we could ask business, also have a couple business owners on it.
One from each town.
Yeah, and you know, that are regular riders and also ride outside this area to bring better ideas to them.
We need a broader representation. I think having a couple business owners on there would be very helpful, especially when we're talking about new permit passes for these towns. And also, I think it would be beneficial for our town and Inlet to have both of their council members on it, so that we can speak clearly and firmly. So, because without our businesses, without snowmobiles, wintertime, and we count on them, so their input is extremely important to me when it comes to snowmobiling, as a fellow snowmobiler. And really need to do some kind of case study on cost analysis and what this does to our town and where we go further with this, so that our businesses stay open in the winter.
Yeah, so if Mike and Ben are okay on this end.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And then Jeff and Alexis, I spoke with them, and then if Inlet wants to have any representation, maybe during the courses, we can include some business owners to these meetings. Maybe we can reach out after.
Yeah.
It would be
That's okay
nice,
with you guys?
depending on what you guys do. You have a meeting tomorrow night. Depending on what you guys do,
Yeah, they have to.
we
be
can
okay
kind of
with
get
it.
together and say, all right, how you want to do this.
It's always a funny thing, you know, with this passes going on year round and whatnot. It's just trying to get ahead of the game so people can communicate, figure out what makes the most sense. You know? Right. So I guess on our behalf from Webb, we can roll call vote there on that and see if Inlet wants to join up, and then we can add some community members like you may suggest it.
Yep.
Roll call vote.
Councilwoman Lonergan?
Aye.
Councilman Hanna?
Aye.
Councilman Lindsay?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Greco?
All right.
5 ayes.
Judy, you're up first here with
Do we have Otter? You have Otter Lake on yours?
Yeah, on the next page.
That's on me. Yeah, that's me.
Okay,
that's
we'll get that. when we
After,
put it down.
okay, all right, sorry. Did I get to go then? All right, welcome everybody, hi. So I just want to do a little shout out first. I want everybody just to recap back to our organizational meeting, so everybody's on track of which council people go with which parts of our town, so that when you have concerns and you have issues, that you please reach out to us, so that we're not scattered, so we can work more collaboratively together. Because right now, things are a little, not bad, a little wonky. So Parks and Rec is Councilman Ross and myself. The Sharp Program is Councilman Ross and myself. Highway is Councilman Ross and Councilman Lindsay. Snowmobile Trails is Councilman Ross and Councilman Hanna. Assessing is Ross and Lonergan. Zoning is Lonergan and Lindsay. Justice is Lindsay and Hanna. And school is myself as a liaison only. Just so that everybody has public record of that, of where you can start, right? We'd love to hear from you if it's in the cards that you have concern or question, that's what we're here for. It's why you elected us to be here. Okay. All right, from the assessor's office, thank you to the entire team over there. And I don't think Tina's been to bed lately, so thank you so much. So, yeah, so she's asked me to let everybody know that hopefully within a week, you'll be getting a letter in the mail. And it's going to, you'll all have your own letter, so you can all read and go from there. It will say down there that you can reach out to KLW and ask them questions or could state your concerns. Tina has asked and is urging everybody to please call her office as well, to get in touch with her or to go to her first, however you want to look at it. But please reach out to Tina. She's done an amazing job. And now she has some other people to help her, and this is going to be great. So please, okay. Okay. Town of Webb schools, moving on. They are going into phase 2, which will start in April for their capital improvement project. Most of this work's going to be done inside. We're probably not, as outside people, going to see it done, except for maybe some trucks and equipment here and there. So they're excited to get started on that in April. A big reminder, and this affects all of us, especially our businesses, everybody, school's going back to session early this year. Okay, teachers are going back August 31st. Kids are returning before Labor Day on September 2nd. Okay, so this is huge for all of us, anybody in here that's a business owner. So remember that when you're doing it. And this is kind of 90% when we looked at it across the board in New York State. So it's not just us, so that you know that. Okay, and our Old Forge soccer tournament that we all love is scheduled for October 10th. So we got that. Okay. Parks and Rec. Hannah, our Parks and Rec director, is doing a wonderful job, and I'd like to thank her immensely for all the work that she does for us. Mike Ross and myself and Hannah have been meeting a few times now in the past week or so, addressing some issues with the North Street Pavilion, and possibly restructuring a fee associated with that building. The Parks and Rec director did send out a short survey on March 5th to all programs that utilize that pavilion. As of today, we received 6 responses back. So we're looking for the rest. There's about 13 or 14 organizations altogether that we need to hear back from. And we're gathering information. We're working on things. Things cannot be resolved in a moment. We have to do our work and make sure that this is equitable for everybody that's involved. Somewhere, let's see what else. Oh, so that you know, too, people ask me as I'm out everywhere, where did the fee structure come from? So I did my homework. On October 9th of 2012, a resolution number 139 for North Street fees went into, and it was approved. Councilman Ross and Councilman Russell at the time were there, and it was adopted. And it's a $350 fee for the first through the second days of any event, and $100 a day after, with a $500 deposit for anyone using North Street. Nonprofit associations pay $75 a day with a $500 deposit. Kitchen is $50 a day with a $250 deposit. So this is something we will work on. We can't make it happen right at this moment, okay? We have to gather all of our stuff, do a cost analysis, see where we're at. And the school contract is a little bit separate. That was adopted on September 2nd of 2025. So that we know that. And field usage through Parks and Rec is at no cost. However, the organization does need to fill out liability forms and applications so that we know who's using the field. It really has to do more with insurance, and so we don't have overlapping things, so that we're organized and ready to go. And that's it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Judy.
Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you everyone for coming tonight. I'll start off with Macaulay's. Judy and I have a meeting with Kevin and Chris on the 26th to discuss the concessions, the bike shop plus food and beverage, and moving toward being a Four Seasons operation. He would like our approval so we can move forward with Jason Mordain to become EMT certified for up there for operations in the winter and the bike trails. So someone's up there. And he wants final approval for the disc golf so they can start working on that.
What does it mean for the EMT deal? Do we pay for it for him?
Yeah, to go to class.
To go to
What do you say, 750?
And I believe, Tommy, right, we have to look in for a name for that, right?
Yeah.
For Herkimer County, it has, they have to have a title, correct?
The
Yeah,
only thing he has up there currently is a ski area attendant.
Yeah,
So in order for this to,
to look into it.
you know, I think he's looking for full-time position, somebody who's got the EMT background, but also a worker up there to kind of make it. So there's only the one mountain in Herkimer County, so.
Yeah,
I think it's a great idea, to be honest, but.
For their civil service, so we've done this before, we just gotta create a title and.
Yeah,
put a
he just
job
like us
description.
to start
Yeah.
moving forward on it as summer comes. I spoke to Scott a little bit today on the sewer district. Saw the emails from Corey Reed this afternoon. I think we should move forward and look into a loan or a short-term bond to start these projects. I would rather have a known debt than an unknown cost when it comes to a catastrophic failure of our district. So that's something we gotta look into. So I stopped in the highway department too, because I had to drop some stuff off, and Casey showed me all the trucks and stuff that they're polishing up and cleaning up and doing maintenance after a long winter. And the guys are looking forward to the parade Friday. They're proud of those trucks.
Get them cleaned up, just ready for the snow.
yeah, it's gonna
and,
snow on Friday, it's true.
I do want to thank Chief and the officers here tonight. And congratulations on your new police boat, and look forward to seeing those guys out in the water
Yeah.
this summer.
Yeah,
The new boat.
I don't
all I
know
got.
if
Better
everybody
elaborate
knows
on
about
that,
the boat,
Yeah.
but maybe the chief, if I'm correct in this, you were donated a boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so State Parks donated the boat to us, so it's technically their boat, but
Right.
we
Utilize it.
can mark it up and use it, and we're responsible for the maintenance of it, but if they want it back, then
We gotta give it back.
you gotta come and pick it up.
Well, we get to use
But
it.
find it.
They're not gonna get it easy.
So,
Thank you guys.
thank you.
It's a real nice boat too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is that just for emergencies or is?
Yeah, that's it.
Patrols?
Patrol.
That's all I got.
I don't have very much. Congratulations to you guys on the boat and also moving forward with the K9. Other than that though, I don't really have much. So, Mike, go for it.
Yeah, I got a couple things. Quite a few meetings ago, we were asked about the trail that cuts over there off of the lakefront and then goes in front of the health center. And we tried to fix that, but unfortunately it was kind of in the middle of the winter, so it wasn't that easy to fix. I mean, Jeff went over there and we flagged it off, or he flagged it off. And it didn't do what it needed to do because they were still coming out right on that corner, and it's very dangerous. It's nothing against snowmobilers or anything, it's just the fact of a safety issue right there. So I'm gonna guess next year we're gonna have to do something a little more than flags.
We can snow fence it like we do along the lakefront or the beach.
Right.
We'll try something.
Right, it's just a dangerous spot, cause they're popping right on the corner and people are coming down in their cars down that hill, and it's kind of a danger, so we'll address that. What else have I got here? I definitely wanna thank all the employees we had Snowfest this weekend, and I think it was a very successful event. Like always, parking is a huge problem when we have, big events like that down on North Street, but we get through it. So anyways, most of all the town employees that were involved between cleanup and plowing and just helping with everything, I want to thank everybody that was involved there. And I also want to bring up to the board, I talked about doing a second Monday somewhere along the line, and I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I still think that because, I mean, we got like tons of things going on right now.
do.
And I really don't feel that one meeting and one town board meeting is gonna cut it for, at least for a couple months anyways, but, so if we could get a schedule together, something to try to alleviate some of these issues.
More communication.
And I guess the only other thing I would like to bring up is, this has been, in my opinion, has been an extremely good snowmobile season. I actually rode a lot this year. I was in a lot of different places, and there wasn't too many bumps this year, so It was a good year. Everybody did a wonderful job. But
Yes.
that's my opinion.
Good
I
one.
didn't ride on Saturdays. But anyways, that's it for me.
So the Monday thing, it's important, you know, because the discussion, you know, for public session, we haven't seen anymore. We're working on a whole bunch of stuff. We're all about it. We'll get that on. We'll get them to April. We can make a resolution for that in the April meeting.
Yeah,
Start that then.
Right, because I know vacations are coming up and stuff, and
We did it
schools out
for-
and all that crap, so.
We had it, my first 2 years on the board, we did 2 Monday meetings and a Tuesday meeting. And then the last 2, we dropped to just the Monday and the Tuesday, so.
Yep.
Definitely in favor of that.
I'm in favor.
Okay, good?
Yep.
Good.
You wanna go or you want me to go?
No, I can go first because I'm gonna be starting anyway.
What do you mean? Go ahead.
We have an application from the Otter Lake Fire Department to sell raffle tickets in the town of Webb. So we need a motion to allow them to sell raffle tickets in the town of Webb for 2026.
I'll make the motion.
Kyle. Second?
I'll second it.
Done, all in favor?
Thank you. That's all I got.
Yeah, BCA, I heard that was mentioned further down there. We've got a couple amendments to an agreement that, happened over the course of 2025, that we worked on there. And it kinda, the costs kinda bounced up and down during the 2 different contracts that we had. One went back to January 28th, 2025, one was June 6th, 2025. So in reaching out with Corey recently, we kinda got, you know, behind Scott. I think Mike's been talking about this for quite a while. I think we all might have been. This is, how do we get a plan to get going on the 3 points of concern that are in that Northern Borders grant with the $970K. We've been awarded with the 485 match that we can hopefully be awarded in a WIA for half of our match of 485. And he's in an email just today, he kind of explained where those amendments were, how those went. And he thought the best way to move forward was to prepare a new contract in this email for us to look at and to kind of authorize, payment to move forward. And their payment plan is not one big lump sum. It can go as we move forward there. I think it was like $200,000. So it's different than the $783,000 we had in the last one for the whole plan. And some things have been paid for and some things haven't, and we're just trying to kind of get an update on that overall with BCA. And then I think Ben's got it's important. You're spot on there. Where do we then pay for it? So we'll wait to see what he comes up with that contract, that proposal. And EFC, I was down at Association of Towns down there in New York City. My favorite part was running over to the Environmental Facilities Corporation and speaking with them. And I mentioned Elizabeth Ricci. I called her Liz, and we had a meeting, a Zoom with her and Corey, and it was spectacular. And they said once you get chatting with her, things are pretty good. And she said our scores there. This is for the WIA part of EFC's division there, the WIA grant. And it just seemed very promising that even though we weren't able to acquire it last year, that we could get it this year, and we're right there for it. Not to make it really change too much. So we'll do some more diving into that with BCA. We'll get more stuff there, and then
Do we still have to
any
get,
questions on that?
like Ben just mentioned, like possibly borrowing the money? Do we still have to worry about that part of that?
So
getting the rest of that grant.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have to borrow for both. We
Right,
also
we
have
gotta
to
borrow.
we have to borrow to start the planning
To start
and
it.
engineering.
Yeah.
And I think
So
we should.
so securing the funds
At the low
as
end.
part of the 485 match. When you look into the grant, shows us as secured. We just have to go through that and find that. Kelly, our budget officer back there, is just doing a great job of looking into all this stuff. So we have to see what we actually have on our end, what we would then be asking for. So yeah, nothing is like, so let's start it without the money. I'm not saying that at all. We'll make sure that we follow the proper procedure with that. And there's a lot of good programs out there. Adirondack Community Foundation, Herkimer Oneida County Community Foundation, both have given us the paperwork on setting up funds that we can utilize, that can be specific to the Old Fort Sewer District from both avenues, where we can go out there and find some donors to help us out. So it's, so I've got the paperwork on that. I'll do some more. There's kind of different programs available, so we would have to kind of authorize setting that up. There's some costs that we would take on with joining those foundations to see it fit through them. And then
real quick, I have to say, I know we have to do that in order to get some of this work moving, but I am terrified as death taking a loan out or finding a bond and putting it against the sewer district. Terrified.
Well, I'd rather have the known cost and the known debt than have
I understand
an unknown cost to.
No, I understand that completely. I want to make my feelings
hire
known.
a company to
I
come
know
in
we
and truck all
trust
our
me.
stuff. I mean, that
I know
that
this has to get
go.
done. I understand that. I am all for getting this done. I am worried immensely about the cost to the sewer district, the cost to the sewer district users. Because we all know the state that line is in right now.
Correct.
Yeah.
So hopefully everything
with
works
everything
out.
else, we'll get all those numbers in front of you. We've got a great team working on this, and we'll continue to gather that information. Kelly, like I said, it's the communication's right there, and we'll definitely present.
Can we
all
also
options.
have some board members sit on some of those meetings? So help inform us of that.
There's been the day-to-day operations and whatnot. There's been meetings with, you guys have been invited to multiple of them, but we can look into. We've said in our meetings together, and we'll work on more of them.
I've only been invited to one. It wasn't part of this.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. I also have anything else in the sewer, guys, as we get more stuff together.
No, just gotta get her done.
Committees, we talked about the snowmobile committee. Just wanted to, check mark here the request for. Gotta go back to it. Yeah, we're also actively looking into forming citizen committees in Webb. The master plan update, looking into that, and also a housing committee. I think it would be great for us to have a housing committee. Anyone interested, submit a request to town clerk Dawn Schweinsberg, and we'll go through some of those. I got our master plan update here. There's over 20 people that were on it before. I see some faces in here from our 2019 master plan. So. I think everybody did a great job on it, and I think we're just looking into getting a committee together to kind of update it. I've got, speaking of meetings, Beaver River emergency access discussion. I've got. I'm hoping that Mike Ross, he's been a part of the meetings we've had so far with some of them. Would join me there and sitting down with Carly Reitmeyer. She's a representative for Governor Kathy Hochul. Randy Young is the Region 6 New York State DEC Director. Andy McDuff, Rob from DEC as well. And then Nicholas DeGennaro is the New York State Department of Transportation Rental Class of Travel Corridor Manager. Along with Tina J, who've been helping out a lot and looking into what we can do here. And then some of our local emergency responders, just to kind of talk about the where we're at, where it stands. It's pretty clear of what's needed here. We've talked to some property owners and Line Timber and Woods Lake Group, and it's really mostly getting out of Beaver River as we kind of address the lack of access that we're going to run into here moving forward. It's an important part of Webb, in my opinion, and interestingly enough, there's 23 neighborhoods in the town of Webb. It's number 11 in parcel size, and it's 19 parcels behind the old Forge Thundera neighborhood as they're done in the assessor's office there. And I just think it's important for us to address, to figure out other ways we can work things there. no money's been spent, we haven't authorized any payment to anybody, consultants or anything like that, it's just discussion. And all these agencies have been really, really welcoming, they've been a pleasure to speak to, and it seems that an amendment for the Independence River Wild Forest, this old packet right here is the guy we follow. I got into this on a Friday night a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I didn't even know I could read it. But anyway, there's been 6 amendments, and it's definitely possible. There's motor vehicles in there. There's a movement for ADA compliance, emergency access, and also a historical travel corridor. Can work towards amending it, and even the amendment doesn't cost much. But we're so preliminary, and that's why we're just in discussion. So the meeting is Friday at 10 a.m. If you can be there. Not anybody else.
I would like to show
totally welcome to join. I think we're gonna do a Zoom over at the code office over there.
I did see some paperwork that was laid out there, and what used to be forever trying to do this, using the rail corridor, of course the tracks weren't coming out, and then we tried to go alongside the tracks, and that's extremely difficult. So we found out more information, and what I've seen recently looks, well, I'll say promising at this point.
You know, the options are when that barge goes away. Thompsons are in their 70s, one of them pushing 70 the other, and access there will be tough for all those folks that live there. One thing we have determined is if you go through the railroad right away, the Remsen Lake Placid travel corridor, you'd have to get off the right of way anyway, and the private property owners would have to allow you to use their property. And then when you got back on to go the last 2.5 miles to the Independence River Wild Forest, you would still need the amendment anyway. So it just seems like it's best to just maybe work through that amendment first. Yeah, I'll take a question on it, sure. We got
more of a statement. I wanted everybody to know that this summer, during our Thursday night lecture series at the library, we are going to be featuring a history of Beaver River for,
I saw
for
that.
everybody.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
At Pitts.
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, he is. He's been working on this for a long time.
Yes.
So, like I said, just there's a care for it up there, and yes, Ron.
Beaver River to Big Moose Station. That is a rail trail. They are building a 4,000-mile trail from Washington State to Washington, D.C., and about half of that is going to be a rail trail where the rails and the trail are going to coexist on a 50-foot right-of-way. That's all you need to get from here to Beaver River is 50 feet wide, and I think Dr. Webb had 50 feet of width for his rail. There's a one bridge. That's the problem. And other than that, you can go by car, by truck, by ambulance, by ATV, by motorcycle, by police car, all the way to Beaver River 12 months of the year.
Thanks, Ron.
And I volunteered to help Jason Mulcahy get that done.
Thank you, Ron.
Thanks, Ron. Move on to the members of the assembly.
No, I've got some more stuff to go
sorry.
through. Yeah, Macaulay up there, great stuff. I was up there Sunday morning into the afternoon. Guys doing a fantastic job. We talked about, the snow patrol or the ski patrol snowmobile that they're working on up there. Totally makes a lot of sense. It seemed like those guys are teaming up, Old Fort Ski Patrol and then the managers of the mountain. We talked about the EMT certification position they're looking into, the disc golf thing. We told Kevin to go get some, put the quotes in place and get it going. He actually put a plan out. It looks fantastic. We do have one thing to discuss here, what you guys would like to do for the person who got the grease on the ski coat there, where it kind of the policy up there at Macaulay has been, this is via Chris and Kevin, that they offer to dry clean your clothing, and then you bring in the receipt and you get reimbursed. I think they're going to look into the policy further, but I'd just like to see what we'd like to do for the the unfortunate part where somebody had some grease on their coat and it kind of got on their helmet, goggles, and all that stuff. So just
Does that revert back to 99 when it happened to me?
yeah, cleaner, yeah.
When it happens
Nobody else
to me
did
every
it. It
year.
happened to me a few weeks ago too, but I had black pants, so I just rubbed it off. It
Yeah,
happens
so
everywhere
just,
when you ski.
you know, we got a 17-page report on it, and I just like to report back to the person who had the unfortunate incident. You know,
I think if the policy says to dry clean it, then
that's
we dry
kind of what we were
Get it
doing.
done.
Yeah.
It's just, and then maybe in the future we just get a sign up. You know,
get it.
Holly Mountain, the town of Webb, is not responsible for lost, stolen, or damaged property, equipment, or apparel. And then that way it's clearly stated, because that's what we don't really have.
But that's not lost or, well, it is damaged. I get it. Yep, okay, yep, got it.
So, yeah, we'll look at that. Next is those two properties there that are kind of landlocked. The Tuthill Estates, it's two, and I just didn't know, they want to kind of put it as a donation to the town. I'm really not sure what to do with it. We would just kind of inherit the taxes that go along with it.
What properties are these?
There's two different properties. It's that.
No, I didn't even look at that yet.
I just didn't know what the
Everything went in today.
roll call was for it, or if we, wanted to let them just keep handling on their own. And it seems like they're, it's like 0.24 acres and
Tom, where are those? Where are they in the community?
they're over by, it's Hirshoff is what it is, but it's not Hirshoff. It's over by like Nat Foster Trail. It's supposed to be like a paper trail road that goes there.
And for things like this, can you tell us you have this information and send us an email so we don't have to, so we can think about it on ourselves on our own? And then get back instead of keeping all these people here waiting.
Yeah, I think they were in there for this.
They were in the box today.
Yeah, they were in the
Today.
box today, but send an email, say, hey, I've got this information, this is what these people want, can you guys look at this?
Yeah.
And then,
Just 'cause it's kind of late
then
going.
bring it up to,
Well,
I'll take a look at that and
Yep.
get through it and let me know what you guys are
Absolutely.
I didn't
thinking.
even look at it yet.
Discussion in public here, so.
yeah.
Yeah, and then the just on the rec center thing with the fees and such, I don't have a problem with us, adjusting it as we did in the fall there. I went along with that, stayed out of it, with just being connected to the school through the basketball program. I just didn't really like the inconsistencies of it. It was $75 a day, but we weren't really charging. We kind of were in the past, and then all of a sudden we brought the $50 a day to the school, gave them a discount, which is great. And we didn't charge the Mighty Loons in the past, didn't charge them this year. We didn't charge Little League in the past, but now we're charging Little League and some of the spring programs moving forward. And I think it's cloudy between whether you use the facility or not, you get charged, or whether there's no charge for being on the field. And Hannah, for the record, Hannah Wheaton is so good at what she does. She stays on top of it, and she is just following what we have in place. And I know you guys have a feel on it. I just think that with the inconsistency of the program right now, I'd like a little more time for us to figure out what it costs. How much of a burden it is the taxpayers before we try and recoup some of that, by a few $100s or $1,000 to these youth organizations that I don't think they budgeted and planned for it this year. So they weren't really aware that they were going to get hit with it. And I just hate to see some of these youth programs get hit by that. I really, really love Kelly Hunkins is the budget officer, looking into so many things, having some more answers. We are trying to get as transparent as we feel we can. And this is part of the things that I think that we would like to just put out there for us to have a better way to appropriately charge for the fields, for the building, and update you know, the protocol for this.
I 100% agree, and that's why I said if you could give our committee a little bit more time, and Kelly, you could share some information with us as the committee, then we will work on this diligently, quickly. Trust me, that's what we're doing. Yes, Ron?
It would seem to me it could be included in the Macaulay Mountain budget. When it comes to the mountain bike trails, the hiking trails.
Parks and Rec and the mountain are two different separate things.
Totally separate.
Two totally separate things, yeah. Good idea, though. Yeah.
And again, we were on the budget for 2026 year, and I just thought it would be appropriate to gather it all and put it together to move into 2027 year, so these programs had a little more time to prepare for these fees. But that's just my piece on it.
I think
Appreciate that.
I think that's what we had discussed Monday, letting it go for the rest of this year and coming back for the budget time to have something put in place. I know I had suggested taking a look at the recent Macaulay Mountain rental costs that we did last year and possibly doing a mimic of that. Now the difference with North Street is building versus field charge. I think we should only be charging for the building use.
That's all that we are charging
Right.
for. We
Okay.
don't charge for fields.
That's what I want to make sure that we're not charging for the field. Just the building use. Obviously, I think we had all agreed prior in the past that the bathrooms would always be open if anyone's out on the field.
Correct.
But the building itself, especially in times that we have to turn the heat on, not looking. What?
It's hard. I mean, we have work to do, a little bit of work to
Cost
do.
of cleaning.
We have work to do.
Yeah.
Cost of maintenance, cost of switching.
We just gotta,
Costs money to mow the lawn too.
Yeah, I understand that. But I really do think, like Judy had said, and you had said, Tommy, I think budget time is when we start. They're doing their due diligence looking into this. You're doing your due diligence looking into this. I am not looking to do anything right now on this, but it does need to be looked at because we have to offset the cost of that heating in some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
I'm not, looking either to stick it to any program. I'm not asking anyone to put up a ton of money to rent the building. It's just something small to offset something.
Okay. That is. Yeah, that's all I have on that.
Thank you so much.
Assembly. State your name. 2 minutes, please.
I'm on North Street, and Jeff, I want to say, that's all to you. You and your crew do an awesome job this year. I put 8,000 miles on my driveway.
I think you can close that now.
I rode weekends, I rode during the week. There was maybe a hiccup every now and again, but it was absolutely fantastic. And I traveled a lot around New York State. Most of the clubs groom during the day. Some groom second shift, and there's some that actually groom at night. So when we were coming back, we always knew we were gonna have a nice trail coming back home. So I know there's discussions back and forth. I see people nodding their heads. But I did a lot of Long Lake, Inlet, Branningham, groomed during the day. Branningham starts at 2 in the afternoon, just like our second shift. There's a lot of people on Tug Hill, they groom at night. We get the traffic. We have traffic, but our traffic is throttle jockeys. It's not the families that are out there that take the week passes. They're just doing nice drives. The throttle jockeys that go hard into the corners and then spin their tracks, that's what it's chewing up the trails. So that's my observation for 8,000 miles. Take it from where-
Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks.
Dr. Polanski?
Hi, Dr. Polanski, MDHS Health Center. I just wanted to talk briefly about our new service that we're going to be starting at the end of the month. Very, very exciting, and I want to really, really thank the community for the major carrot they put in front of MVHS with the donations for the ultrasound machines. So I'm talking about the new ultrasound service that we're gonna be offering at the health center, which is the machine has been funded by the Community Health and Wellness Center. They did a lot of work getting adequate funds. The town board contributed, Living ADK contributed, and that in total paid for our ultrasound machine in total. So we were very excited about that. And just the fact that the community was putting together the money for the ultrasound machine made MVHS look really hard at providing this service up here. And there's two things that are really unique about it. First thing is that no other primary care facility has an ultrasound service, so we do. We're an hour away from getting an ultrasound done anywhere. And the second thing is that we are the only health center with MVHS that has worked in such a collaborative way with the community. So it's really it's been a really wonderful experience, and I have to thank Mary and the whole Health Fund Board and the Town of Webb Board and Living ADK for coming together. I just briefly, I don't want to get into too much, but I wanted to just describe what that service means, because people don't really know what ultrasound is or does, or what advantages it has. But right now, ultrasound is a service that's in really high demand. We have very few ultrasound technicians. So if you get an ultrasound order today, unless it's an urgent or an emergency one, it takes probably 2 months to get that done. We'll be able to get it done probably within a week in our center. It's open for MVHS patients or any other patient with a legitimate order from any doctor, any primary care doctor in another area. If you live here, you can get the ultrasound done there. If you are waiting, if you live in Renton and you're waiting to get an ultrasound, they're going to bring people up here, so we'll have more traffic up here as well when we get this service up and running. And the types of things that we can do are looking at pretty much, almost any part of the body. The only thing we won't be doing is echocardiograms, but this machine and our ultrasound technician, who actually lives right here in Old Forge, will be able to assess the abdomen, abdominal pain, gallbladder, liver, appendix, kidney, bladder. And I verified this with our team that we can do these things. Breast ultrasound will be limited to just looking for an abscess. It won't be like the tied-in ultrasound with your mammogram. We do vascular studies. We can look for an aortic aneurysm. We look for DVTs, like a blood clot in the leg. We can look for peripheral artery disease, which is really beneficial in our chronic wound patients that we can't seem to get the wound to heal. It might be an arterial problem. Carotids, we do pelvic scans. We can do thyroids, nodules, lumps and bumps in the neck. We can look for foreign bodies. If someone comes in and we can't find a sliver, we can look for it. It's really a service that is expanding on our lab and x-ray in a very positive way. The service will be available Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They'll have early start hours of 7 a.m. Last scan will be booked for 4:15 because the technician works from 7 to 5. As I said, she's a resident of Old Forge, and she's very excited about working here, so we're really excited to have her. She's had 35 years of experience in ultrasonography, so she's very experienced. And just if you have any questions, you can direct them to me or to the health center. Right now, the town is working on securing the space. We've got the wall, pretty well done, and we're getting all the other things together with the.
Did they get going the fire alarm over there? That part of it?
I think they did, yeah.
I know the wall is looking pretty.
This morning, they were supposed to be putting the communication, like the
With the whole
hookup for the ultrasound machine, the computer and the phone. And I think they did the lights. The wall is up. I don't know if it's painted yet, but we're ready to go. Actually bringing the stuff up by the beginning of next week. And we're just really excited.
Thanks so much for all
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody, Health and Wellness Fund, MVHS.
So much appreciated,
Yeah.
Robin.
Thank you.
And we have a great relationship now with the Vice President of Operations at MVHS. She's a fireball, and
Sherry.
she's really moves, Sherry. And she's talking to me like, well, what else can we do up there? So I'm really excited. So,
Thanks.
have any ideas?
Sure, we have no real. Holly?
So I don't want to I've got a couple things. I'm gonna speak for Mike Mayer, who's the baseball coach, but I'm also gonna speak as a resident, lifelong resident, moved away, came back. We wanted to raise our kids here. We did come back. I was a rec director here from 2006 to 2012 before I became a state trooper. In the midst of medically retiring from the state trooper, I decided to do a nonprofit, which is Rec Connections, because all I wanted for this community since I started with this rec department in the town is our kids to have the opportunity to do stuff in this community, which we don't have a lot to do. And I started from toddler time to library time to kickball, baseball, softball, like, so that was my journey there. Then we shifted gears, left, came back. And when I did the nonprofit, it was so the kids didn't have to travel with ASO to Herkimer, Ilion, Dougeville, all those places. We linked up with Boonville, who is also our baseball community, and they have enough teams between U4 and U12 to play 8 to 12 different teams in that time period between baseball and soccer. So in saying that, we try to make it affordable for this community. We little to no payments for them. We try to do, I've gotten a ton of grants for uniforms, for equipment, for the usage that we need specifically for soccer. I help baseball. I've helped Tom with the basketball tournaments that we have. I help volleyball. I put a water fountain, donated it to the North Street, another set of volleyball net down to North Street so that we have 2 nets down there. So we want to make everything we can possible for this community. And when we're talking about renting out the pavilion, which when I was rec director, the ice skating rink was in there. So for me, I understand that it needs to be heated now, but it still needed to be heated then when the ice skating rink was there and it wasn't. So we weren't able to keep the ice skating rink in there as long as that we needed to, not only because of Snowdio, but because we had to be out before Snowfest happened. So now it's awesome that the ice skating rink is down where it is. It's awesome that the boards are there. That's absolutely amazing for the kids. But in the same breath, in the fact that we have to heat the building now, it is not on the families and the kids who, some of them have 8 kids that are part of these programs. And we've gone from 24 kids to a 60 to 100 kid program that I know is a lull in the school right now because the next 2 graduating classes are only 10 kids. But these kids that are coming up are going to be the next teams that come through, that are going to be the baseball teams, that are going to be the soccer teams, that are going to have the hockey kids that are going to go down to play for Notre Dame because we don't have that hockey, program here. Like these kids are awesome. It's awesome that we have 100 kids that signed up for soccer last year. And Judy she has donated the jerseys through Wagonit the last 2 years, and we make the fee, low so that they can be part of it. Like again, I said, so we can have everybody do this. To have the baseball team want to go in there for 40 times because of the winter that we have and charge them $3,000. They did not budget for this. I know you're going to work on this. It's just something that we're trying to stop so that Mike can take that money and use it for other things that he has in the past. Whether it be the kid who can't play, whether the kid who doesn't have the uniform, whether it's something that we need on the field, like him and I line the fields. I line the soccer fields, he lines the baseball fields. I understand the town takes care of our school fields with the school. We share that with the town. They mow it, they line it, same fees that are going through. I understand the building has to be heated. But again, I was here for the meeting where it said the building should have been heated far before the floor was even put in that town got the grant for. So I understand that it needs to be heated, but at this point, it shouldn't be taken out on the families. It should be taken out on something that should have been budgeted for the board. Not last year when we found out about it, this coming year that we have right now. And I know Tom is working off this budget that was given to him, but it should have been budgeted because it was talked about, it was brought up, and
he worked on the budget too. He was on the board for 4 years.
I'm talking
So
right
I
now.
know. I'm just
Just
got to
gonna
make
let
that
you
comment out there.
So now I'll read the letter that Mike wrote. He said, I'm writing this to represent the Old Forge Little League. I know there has been some issues that came up, so I figured I'd give my input. It is also slightly ironic that I cannot be there tonight because I have to drive my son down to Accelerate in New Hartford so that he can practice baseball inside during the winter. My name is Michael Myers. I moved with my family to Old Forge 12 years ago to raise kids. We stayed on Liquor Street in my parents' trailer for years to see if we could actually make it work here. Very quickly, we knew this was the right place to raise our young family, from neighbors we met to teachers at Kinderberg we fell in love with. I then bought Janet Parent's house at 224 Gilwood Street. I am a taxpayer who is raising children in the town with 3 kids and multiple youth activities. I coach youth baseball and basketball. We did polar bear soccer and karate. If anyone is in the trenches of Forge youth sports, it's me right now. I will give a little history about my involvement with the Little League and where I stand today. 11 years ago, my wife came home from work and said her boss was looking for baseball coaches. She knew I had played baseball my whole life and asked if I would help. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I met Dave Aliasso at Park Ave Field for the first practice. I figured there would be a bunch of kids and parents, and I could hit some ground balls and meet some local people. When I got to the field, Dave said, "Here's your team," and went back to Walt Steiner. My heart sank. I like baseball and I like kids, so I made it work. 11 years later, here I am. I know we have new board members, a new rec director, a new athletic director, and a new town supervisor. Probably time for an update. In 2016, Dave went to the town board about revamping our Little League program. We were having issues with scheduling and practicing on the softball field at Park Ave. We would have canceled games and practice for 2 weeks every time it rained due to the conflicts with the school teams. A huge part of Little League's success would be to have our own field. The town gave Dave a donation and left it up to Little League to figure out the rest. We raised a lot of money and went to work on the field. This was a total town effort. Local businesses made donations, parents fundraised, and put in a lot of time and energy to get the local work done. We built the dugouts, recut the field, fixed the fencing, and put up the scoreboard. The deal was the league needed to be fully self-funded. Since the day we have not asked the town for anything, local parents have ran the league and run the league ever since. In 2016, we started, we had one team, 6 years old to 12 years old. This was an incredible difficult, we made it work. Every year since, we have added more kids and more teams. I am proud to say that last year, 6 years, we have over 60 kids in our programs and got high as 70. We have been able to offer 4 levels of play now. We have a majors team for our 5th and 6th graders. We have a 3rd and 4th grade team and a 1st and 2nd grade team. And now we offer T-ball to kindergarten and under. Currently, almost every town of Webb kid is involved. Our program has done so well for the first time, we can offer youth softball for the girls. Some people may say youth sports are dying. I know firsthand if you build it, they will come. In this time of phones and tablets, youth sports are still incredibly important. We are proud to have won 7 Little League championships in 10 years. Even with co-ed teams, we rallied together to make it work. And I will say that because both my girls were on those teams when they had 2 of those league champions. From the most athletic kids to the least athletic, we pulled together. Skills will never be a determining factor for our teams. The only thing that has mattered to us is want to play. It has been a job to raise our level so that kids can feel the sense of accomplishment and pride. I hate calling myself the Little League president. I am just a dad who has been doing this forever, over 10 years. I am a president by default. I never wanted to be in charge. I am just a dad who wants to coach baseball. I think kids in every town should be outside on a baseball field come spring. I started helping Dave before my own children were old enough to play. I went through the league with my daughters when we became of age. I am now going through it with my son. When we moved to town, it was a major adjustment. I had previously lived in Fort Lauderdale and worked in New York City. I did not know how to ski. I never went fishing. I had to learn a lot of this, but I also saw where I could get. I saw the town needed youth coaches. There was no youth sports for the kids 10 years ago besides the polar bears. There wasn't baseball or youth baseball, no hockey or karate. This was to be my way of giving back to the town. I have always this meaningless sports information as my 42-year-old man. The best thing I can do is to give back to the town, which has given so much to my family and myself. A big part of Little League recently's success has been our ability to practice indoors. The other teams start indoors for weeks. For our teams to be competitive, we need to practice inside for 3 weeks heading into the season. This league is fully self-funded and run by local parents in town. Our season is during the school year, so every kid is a town of Webb kid. In the past, we were allowed to use the North Street Pavilion for no cost to our kids. Since we took the baseball program off the town budget, they did not charge. We stated at the time we did not need all the heat turned on and keep the costs low. I did have to buy indoor soft practice balls and equipment at a great cost for the program. All I'm asking is that we continue to allow our town of Webb kids to prepare for their upcoming season by practicing inside. This directly affects town of Webb taxpayers' children. Nothing, in my opinion, is more community pride than our kids competing with local towns and kicking their butt in baseball. It makes me incredibly happy when North Street Park is packed on a Friday night with our families cheering our kids on. A fee for rental use would just be a triple tax on the taxpayers for having their children play and compete on our local sports teams. 10 years ago, I thought the saddest thing in this town was the North Street Pavilion sat empty. This is a cold weather town. While most kids ski, kids need other activities to get by. As a dad of 3, I want my kids to be physically active. I do not want them on video games and computers all winter. We have this incredible asset. I hope we can continue to allow our children to use it. This league has been built by some amazing people. We started with Dave Galasso and Justin Masters. Chris Stanley, Holly Armandola, and Scott Palermo were the league for years. Chris Russell helped with the field. Sabrina Leap, Kelsey Pipkins, and John Swick were the ones picking weeds from the infield while coaches teams. Now the league is filled with the Tormes, Russells, Langworthys, Van Valkenburgs, Zemilios, and Swicks. Joe Van Valkenburg and Brett Thompsons have been our new T-ball coaches. Our teams are sponsored by Walt's Diner, Billy's, Rivets, Marina, Archie's Alley, North Country Market, Willie Van Excavating. This is a totally community effort. This is not just me. I am just the face. I am the guy writing the letter representing our coaches, parents, and players, but this is a community program. I'm also just a dad. I work all day, I have family commitments, and coach all night, 5 nights a week. You can catch me on the field or in the gym with all ages. I am pressed on time. I wish there were more hours in a day, but there isn't. All I ask is the town and rec department help the programs and volunteers by not making it harder for us than it has to be. Being a coach is incredibly difficult nowadays. Parents have opinions on everything, and we receive text messages in the morning, noon, and night about different issues. The time commitment on the Little League field is a full-time job and can be extremely taxing at times. I care deeply about the kids throughout coaching for these 11 years. I care that they have teams. I care that their teams are competitive. These kids have given me some of the greatest days of my life as an adult. The look on their faces winning trophies is irreplaceable. Watching kids grow is my real happiness these days. My job now is to fight for them. This is not about what I want to think is correct. This isn't about me. I fight for them. Sincerely, Michael Mayers.
Thank you, Michael. Holly, thank you.
Thanks, Holly. Mary?
Oh, Mary Brophy Moore. I just want to kind of piggyback on what Holly just did and said. And I think it would be a wonderful idea for this town board to support our local non-for-profits and sports teams by not charging to use the town facilities. That's what they're there for. There are other ways to raise revenue. You can do it for the for-profits or however, but it should have been budgeted for the heat. We know it costs.
We did budget for it, we just went over.
We just went over. So, that happens.
And
But-
national grid bills are gonna go over too, like, where do we?
I, for all the reasons that letter just stated.
That's why we wanted
Certainly
like an
not the town
appropriate year
teams.
this year to like dive into it more so.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
there's,
Again,
The local, no,
Mary,
I'm not
you
talking
voted
about-
on this schedule.
That was 13 years ago.
I know, but just saying.
And just so you
I know it did.
I didn't pay
It was
last year.
$75.
I didn't pay last year in 2000. It said it came back in 2012. Nonprofit for the softball team that we have didn't pay last year.
That was kind of my only thing for the time being, the inconsistent.
If you can just give us the time, let's just.
I
We're-
get it.
we're not
Just
making it.
express
We're not
your
making
opinion,
it.
that's all. I didn't really
Thank you,
need
Mary.
that
If you give me
All right,
time to work
thanks for the
hard.
discussion, let's move on to
Okay,
Yeah, the
then.
next thing.
the next.
Let's let people talk.
Ron was before.
Just have to work on it to make it equitable.
One last shot at everybody here. Thank you, Holly. Very well done. This has to do with 20 some odd years ago. When I first came to town full-time, I was working for Pedals and Pedals, doing the bicycle business for Ted. And I opened the bicycle department at Mountain Man, I took over the farm restaurant. You know what that was? One of the people I met in the fall of 2002, when it first started to snow, was on the chairlift at Macaulay, and that was Paige Hannah. I met her on the chairlift. I said, "Hi, I'm Ron," and she said, "Hi, I'm Paige." And we've been friends ever since that moment. Mark is a great husband. He handled the parking with cheers at the Snowfest Snowdeo this weekend. I want to go back to Paige Hannah and what happened in about 2003. She and Ritter Gaylord, if anybody remembers Ritter, founded what was known as WARDA. WARDA stands for Western Adirondack Recreational Development Authority. And it not only built the trail system on Maple Ridge, took the 3 little bicycle trails in there and turned it into a map all the way to all the way to Macaulay, from the parking lot by the school. Wonderful project. Look what it's led to over the years. Major expansion of this place as being a bicycle heaven for mountain bikes, even e-bikes. I bought a $700 mountain bike yesterday, a fat tire bike. Tires are this big on it, but I can ride it on the snowmobile trails 12 months out of the year. It's in the back of my car if anybody wants to see it. And I did not buy it locally because I got it for about a quarter of the price of the same bike in the local stores here. Anyway, back to WARDA. WARDA wasn't just building trails. WARDA was a pipe dream. WARDA was going to not only build trails, was going to build a hockey rink, indoor hockey rink at Macaulay in the parking lot up there, where the cross-country ski trail bubble thing is up there, or the maintenance garage. That hockey rink would have been recreational. It would have taken the place of the skating rink. It would have taken the place of 15 years of messing around with what you put in the parking lot.
You want to go home? I have the car and I don't want you walking home.
I was gonna drive, give him a
Are
ride.
you gonna drive him?
Everybody okay with that?
Is everybody?
I'll vote yes.
We needed a little comment.
I hate to leave meetings early.
I'm retired. I'm 85 years of age. I had colonoscopy a month and a half ago. I haven't gotten the results. I think I have colon cancer and they don't want to tell me. I may have 2 months to live. I may have 10 years or 15 years, but I'm volunteering the rest of my life to make this town healthy. I have an educational background, a professional background in construction and real estate and property development. My family founded the Stevens Institute of Technology in Hoboken. We owned the whole town at one time. That's my heritage, and I'm carrying that forward and trying to make Old Forge what the dream was when Webb came to town 125 years ago.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
Good luck with everything.
I brought flyers, as I always do, about Easter egg hunt and egg dyeing. And although they're important, egg dyeing, we're back to eggs. Last year with potatoes and marshmallows. Eggs were so expensive. But we will dye eggs, and we will hide eggs. Egg dyeing on April 1st. And Easter egg hunt on April 4th. I'll leave the flyers up there with the information from our friends who are helping care for us in our homes. But really, you know, I always remember what a great place this is and what a bunch of characters we are. And we're celebrating that Thursday with our local poetry and art reception. I would like to, there are many local people who are being honored, a lot of our kids, but also one of our former council people, Barb Green, is a winner in the art category, and one of the town plays, Rick Kipp, is going to be honored for poetry. I hope we're going to have him read his poem up there. So that and bingo and potluck next Tuesday, right? This Thursday, we're gonna have a celebration of our local arts. Next Thursday, or next Tuesday, bingo and potluck, celebration of our local cooks, and you know, all kinds of stuff. But a lot of people love it here. I do, and that's what we're hoping to celebrate over there. So.
Thanks for
Thank you, Linda. Thank you.
So I'm just gonna touch on what Mike reported on. CA had their annual Snowfest this past Friday and Saturday at North Street. The annual show features the top manufacturers, the newest models. They offered demo rides of the 2027 models. There are also vendors there selling clothing, gear, grab and go food. Old Forge Volunteer Fire Department sold amazing food, as always. This year, unfortunately, they were unable to have the Ravex jumpers due to some injuries of their athletes during the Winter X Games. Hopefully, they can get them back next year. Good attendance both days, despite the less than winter-like weather. But they wanted to thank everybody, all the various volunteers. It takes a lot of people to put the event on. Also, all the town employees. Big thank you to Jeff and his staff at the Snowmobile Department for their work on North Street and the trails. Thank you to Casey and the crew at the Highway Department for creating additional parking space up at the town barn for shuttle parking. Scott and Alex and DPW crew for all their work at the rec center, the cleaning crew and the town of Webb School for the buses that they provided to shuttle people on Saturday, and the Enchanted Forest for the many things that they donate for this event.
Of course.
The other thing is a reminder, this Friday is the annual St. Patrick's Day Parade. Parade starts at 5:30. And a big reminder, do not throw candy or anything else. This creates a huge danger. Happy St. Patrick's Day and see everybody Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
Thanks, Diane.
Yeah, don't feed the wildlife.
Yeah, don't feed the wildlife.
I just want to really encourage the board when it comes to anything with looking for funding for wastewater treatment and that area of things, to reach out. I no longer serve on the board of the Adirondack Council, but the Adirondack Council is a great resource. And I'm certainly happy to pass along Rocky Aguirre's contact information for you. They certainly, you know, they're not a funding agency, but they are an advocate that helps communities greatly with when they need funding for those projects. And they can point you certainly in the direction of people to get in touch with. So I'm happy to share that information, but I do encourage that.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Kate.
Thanks, Kate.
Thanks.
Beth?
So, we have had a great season. It's not over. We're still gonna get another weekend out of there, so I'm hopeful. But, I did not get 8,000 miles on. I did not even get my 3,000, so I'm still not happy and jealous, Sally, sorry. But I do wanna say, and I'm sure you've seen this, Sally, when you go to other areas, and I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm gonna keep saying it so you guys listen to me. We need to shelf. We should shelf on certain areas of roads. We should shelf on certain parts of the town. It's gonna slow people down, and it's actually gonna preserve the roads because people will not be in on the blacktop. That's my first thing. And overnight grooming, they do mostly overnight groom in other towns, especially when it becomes volunteers. And it's not even overnight grooming, it's optimum time. Like, I'm not the head groomer, so, you know, but when it's cold, you don't need to groom at 2 a.m. But when it's not cold, you do. And that's just science. I'm still on the whole signage for the trail system. I still think we need better signage to get to businesses. To have a QR code, again, I think is the best way to go. And it's something Mike Farmer is paid to do a job. Make him put a website together that has the QR code goes to it and gives directions for the businesses, all businesses that are open during the winter. And I appreciate for the first time in a long time hearing someone on the board say something about snowmobiles and how important they are to this town. Because I don't feel like you guys always know it. And you know what? For someone who owns 4 properties in this area and pays taxes on 4 different properties, I think we need to start being listened to. And I'm also listening to all my customers say things to me. And we've had a good season so far. And it's not over. But we also do need to recognize that 50% of the money that comes to this town is from snowmobilers, and we need to pay more attention to snowmobilers, and we need to be more welcoming to snowmobilers and not making little snide comments like they can go to other towns, because they will, and they're going to start, because I don't think there's throttle jockeys here. There are throttle jockeys everywhere, not just here, I should say. They're everywhere. So it's gonna happen. The trails are gonna get beat up. We also have an expectation, because we charge people to uphold the trails more so than other areas, in my opinion, because we charge them. That's my piece on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Appreciate it, Beth. Looking into all that stuff, you know, the committee will help certainly.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Anybody else? Jamie?
Greetings from the Webb Fire District and the area fire department of both Fort Eagle Bay and Big Moose. I'll start out with our latest adventure. Today, we took our tanker, which is about 4 years old, and since we received that vehicle, we said there was something wrong with it. And we've had it back to the dealer, back to the manufacturer, and they couldn't find anything. There's nothing wrong with it. And we just kept saying, there's something wrong. It just clunked when you went around corners, and it just wasn't right. Well, finally we found an old mechanic, the old type guy with wearing the coveralls and the pack of cigarettes in his upper pocket, his little flashlight. And he went under and he found that the tank actually was loose and it was sliding inside the truck. And it had actually oblong holes for holding the tank down. The tank was shifting back and forth. So we took that down today to Syracuse to get it fixed. It's probably going to be out of service for a while this is being done, and it is going to be under warranty from Pierce. They're going to fix it right, hopefully, with no charge to the fire district. Okay, now I'll go to some of the old stuff that we've been doing. The high railer for Big Moose. The equipment is now, the railing equipment is now installed. It's going back now to get the finishing on the lights, and then it'll be lettered, and then it'll be delivered to the Big Moose. So that is being completed. Let's see, what else happened? I don't know if everybody's aware of what happened in Boonville with the explosion and the injuries of 4 firefighters and 1 pastor from a propane leak. We have had propane leaks up here. We had 1 building explode. Luckily, nobody was seriously injured. Nobody was in the building. We've had numerous propane calls, odor of gas. And I want to emphasize that if you have an odor of gas in your home or in your building, garage, whatever it may be, evacuate the building immediately. Don't try and find it. Don't start looking. Just get out of the building. Get your family out of the building. Get your pets out of the building, and then call 911, and we'll come in and see if we can find out what the problem is. We had one the other day. The tanks are actually overfilled, and it started leaking. So it was brought up that we may have to turn off power to the buildings immediately. Our exhaust fans are electric. They are spark resistant, but they are electric. And with the power being turned off the building, we have to run cables to the truck, to a generator to try and run. So it was brought up about purchasing battery operated exhaust fans. They are $4,500 a piece. We started looking into it, brought it to the district. The district authorized the money to purchase 3 of these, 1 for each department. So there'll be 1 in Old Forge, 1 in Eagle Bay, and 1 Big Moose. Let's see, what else is going on?
We don't want to hold everyone here tonight, and we still have a lot to do, so.
Let's see, the Big Moose fire truck, the remount, the contract was signed with Poland. The cabin chassis comes in at $70,000, and then it's going to be a little over $200,000 for the remount. We're saving about $200,000 from purchasing the new one. And it will be completely repainted, remounted, new winch on the front, grill guard, automatic transmission.
All right, Jamie, thanks a lot for all this information, but these people want to go home, and we got a lot more to deal with tonight, so can we wrap it up a little bit?
If there's any questions, certainly you're welcome to come to a fire district meeting anytime. Well, the public is welcome.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
All right.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. You're just disrespectful and I can't even handle it anymore.
I'm Don Simons. I have a question for you pertaining to the short-term rental law. And I think it's a great idea that you've limited to 10% of the residential village properties in the village. I'm wondering if there's any thought to doing this outside the village in some of the other areas, like the residential areas outside of the village where it could be a problem. Again, if this reflects the same reason that you've done it in the village, I think it would be helpful to do it outside for all the same reasons, not to go on and on. I just wanted to bring it to your attention that I'm interested in that, and I would love to see you address this.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead, Mike.
I just, obviously I've been sitting here kind of quiet, just maybe I should just not say anything, it'd probably be better off, but Beth, I'd like to address a couple quick things. The reason I came to Old Forge was snowmobiling. Most of my life has been snowmobiling. And for you to say that you've finally heard somebody on the board that cared about it, I heard that tonight also, but good God, lived my life talking about snowmobiling and trying to promote it and everything we can do. I know we need snowmobiling, believe me, 100%.
But you're one of the people who have made some of these nice comments that if they don't wanna pay, they can go elsewhere.
I did? Are you kidding me?
Vermont, Maine,
Yeah, and that's very expensive too.
right here.
But, yes, I mean, I just think that, yeah, and it doesn't seem like you're an advocate for snowmobile. That's my personal opinion,
And you can have
and I'm entitled to that, but I don't feel that whenever I mention anything about snowmobiling, that you even pipe up, try to help out. I just feel like I feel like most of the board, and usually almost always the board, could care less about snowmobiling. And then Ben's the other person that's a snowmobile person, advocate, and I've never heard him say a word about snowmobiling. He always talks about the mountain. Mountain's necessary, love the mountain. We can groom at night at the mountain. Why can't we groom the trails at night here? We can put free things for people to do at the mountain, like mountain biking. Why can't we do something that brings in over $1 million in sales a year? Why can we not throw more attention to snowmobilers than we have in the past?
We're taking all that into consideration.
Thank you for your concerns.
Mike's defense, he's been through it all. He's been a part of the growth of snowmobiling. I think it's just hard to sit up here sometimes and have some people addressing things.
Comments like that is what gets you irritated, I'm just telling you right now, because you get irritated and so do I. We're both human.
Does not help solve the problem.
It's crazy.
But nothing's been done and nothing.
Oh, come on.
You guys have not even considered shelving. You go down Biggs
That's
Road
up to the
every
highway
week.
department, not up to the town board. You
I'm
need
not
to talk
saying
to
that
Casey. They have nothing to do with how roads are
Casey's
plowed
not
and
gonna
shoveled.
listen to me.
Well, they can't
You're shared, though.
do anything, so.
They represent me. Casey's not gonna listen to me.
Guys, I think we need to take a break here.
We're gonna make a motion to go into executive session.
I would like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel services and personnel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Out of executive session here. Action was taken in regards to the council.
Yes.
Motion to. Well, I'll go to the motion with,
Yes, this one.
Oh, yeah. Go back to that. That's gonna be. Why just speak up and say I would take away my rescind?
Or is it, you would just like to make a motion?
A re-motion?
yeah, we'll just go back to, first part of it. Authorizing the supervisor to sign an engagement letter to John Shenick and King for legal counsel pertaining to labor and general municipalities, because we tabled it originally.
Right.
I'll make a motion that we do,
And I'll second it.
This is for labor, legal counsel, general municipal matters across the board, just representation, and then to go over it.
Yeah. And I want to thank you for letting us go into executive
Yeah,
session
thank
to
you.
discuss that.
To discuss, yeah. Yep. As a whole, point taken. Roll call vote?
Councilwoman Longergan.
Aye.
Councilman Hannah.
Aye.
Councilman Lindsay.
Aye.
Councilman Ross.
Aye.
Supervisor Greco.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you
Do you guys have any other actions or anything there, or?
Yes, what I would like to do, unfortunately, I would like to go back into executive session, cause I had an issue that I was going to also bring up tonight that I would like to.
With all of us?
Employee yes, with employee matter that I need to be discussed.
I'll make a motion to an executive session.
Get out of here.
You're free.
I wish I could go with you.
Get out of here.
I'm ready for milk.
Good night, everybody.
See ya.
Good night.
Good night, chief.
Sorry, Don, sorry.
No, I'm
Really,
good.
Yeah, Don will close on the way out, and I need a second.
I'll second it.
Second.
Who made the motion?
Me,
And then you,
Well, I made the motion, Mike.
Mike, and then who else?
Ben, I second. Mike. Mike made the motion, going executive, Ben second.
Correct.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. So, yeah, we're out of executive session again here, and no action was taken. Guess I'd like a motion to pay the audited claims.
so moved.
Mike, second.
I'll second.
Kyle, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Ben?
I'll
Kyle?
second.
Kyle, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks,
Yeah.
Tom.
You're welcome.